Spoiler alert, kind of. Without going into too much detail, last night's episode of Succession on our sister channel, HBO Max, told a story involving political pressure on a conservative cable news network's decision desk during a presidential election.
Every vote must be counted. This is about the future of the country.
False flag.
You can't just say false flag every time you don't agree with something.
The episode, titled America Decides, takes place on a close election night where the Roy family, not America, actually decides whether to make a premature call to throw, at the very least, momentum to their favored candidate, who is the conservative in the race. Now, given the text messages that we all saw in Dominion's defamation lawsuit against Fox, where supposedly neutral anchors discussed leaning on the decision desk because of political pressures, it might have seemed rather chilling to you instead of entertaining. With me now, Eric Schultz, former deputy press secretary in the Obama White House, and Ben Ginsberg, a former attorney for President George W. Bush and Mitt Romney and former RNC general counsel. Both were political consultants for Succession. But first of all, congratulations on being part of such a cool show. Ben, let me start with you because the episode is eerily similar, even though I think you guys taped it months ahead from some of the things we learned in court material from Dominion's lawsuit against Fox. Top anchors, talent, Fox chairman Rupert Murdoch endorsing lies to keep viewers around, and we've learned about claims of pressure on the decision desk. Were you surprised when all the news stories about Dominion came out after you had consulted on this drama?
Yeah, is it art imitating life or life imitating art? Yeah, it was a little bit chilling about how eerily similar the whole thing was. I mean, the personalities involved, the pressures on a news organization, where I came from, which was campaigns, and how they would react in the moment and what they might be able to depend on from a news organization. Yeah, it was really quite something.
Yeah, and I have to say, like, I wouldn't even know how to lean on a decision desk here at CNN. I mean, like, I don't even know who's there. There's a big firewall, but that's not what we saw last night on HBO Max on the fictional ATN network. And Eric, it's not what we saw in the Dominion text. There's a moment in the episode where ATN calls a state, even though there's not going to be a clear winner in that state that night, and then they stick with the decision. It seemed very similar to what we saw in 2020. And according to the book The Divider, written by Peter Baker and Susan Glasser, Fox anchor Bret Baier wrote in an email to Fox President Jay Loss about the call Fox made for Arizona for Biden. He said, quote, "It's hurting us. The sooner we pull it, even if it gives us major egg, and we put it back in his column, the better we are, in my opinion," unquote. We should note that Arizona was never in Trump's column, so putting it back in Trump's column makes no sense. And then, according to the Daily Beast, there was a different exchange between Tucker Carlson and Bret Baier, and where Baier wrote, quote, "I have pressed them," about the decision desk, "to slow, and I think they will slow walk Nevada." Just to be clear, Eric, you didn't know of any of this when you and the writers at Succession were doing this episode about political pressure on the decision desk?
Yes, I think that we've known for a while that the writers on this show are brilliant, they're funny, they're creative, and now we know they're eerily prescient. I think that we started working on this show last spring, and obviously the latest revelations about Fox and Dominion came out much more recently. But I think that you are right, that the writers are always looking for real life analogs to sort of play off of, and obviously Fox's call for Arizona in 2020 put them out on a ledge. A lot of the other networks were not willing to go there at that point. But what that did is that boxed them in from calling other states, because then they would have been the first network to have announced President-elect Joe Biden. And so the writers, I think, in this show wanted to turn that on its head and sort of play with, if they weren't willing to go out there and in fact reverse their motives, what that would look like.
And Ben, I mean, this is a nightmare scenario of what I imagine somebody like you or somebody like Eric goes on. The truth is, most networks, and I used to work at ABC and now I work at CNN, have a complete firewall where there are just statisticians and experts talking about whether or not to make the call based on the math, not based on the politics But boy, you got it right on ATN, because that really seems like that was going on behind the scenes at Fox.
Yeah, I mean, look, I sort of flashed back to the experience of 2000 in Florida, where, as you'll recall, because you wrote the book, Jake, the calls were made early in the evening that Al Gore had won Florida, yet Karl Rove and the folks in Austin realized that those numbers were wrong. They called in to Fox, or to the networks and the decision desks, and showed them why the call was wrong. So it's not that there is zero contact between campaigns and news organizations. What was so shocking about this one is that no organization would make a call like this with that many outstanding votes.
Yeah. Well, anyway, congratulations, and it's great to have you guys here. Ben Ginsberg, Eric Schultz, thanks so much.